Because people, how's everyone doing? Another 3-0 win. 3 games, 3-3-0 wins. Sad to say, 3-3-0 wins in 3 games. No goals conceded, 3 more clean sheets. That's what we like to see. That's a good trend. That's a good trajectory to go on. Unbelievable. Very happy with yesterday. Very dominant. Dare I say, football isn't easy, but yesterday we made it look that. I'll get into the analysis of the game and some things I thought about during the game, but I'll do that as usual through the player ratings. So yeah, hopefully this is uploaded today. We'll see. But I've got a few things on today, but hopefully I'll get this done and out. If you're watching this now, I did it. But anyway, let's get into player ratings. Start for the goalkeeper. Again, literally next to nothing to do, and this is all credit to the players in front of him. The way we set up the shape, but we're unbelievable. Our shape, our control of the game was unbelievable. And when I mean control, I don't mean. And I want to talk about this real quick. There's a lot of this talk every week about our intensity for 90 minutes, and you have to put intensity into perspective. You naturally start off the games with a higher intensity than you will 40, 35, 30 minutes into a game. Because the game always starts off where you are full of adrenaline, you've got the most energy, and you've just been sent out by the manager who's given you instructions to start the game off. So you always start off like the start of a race, like everything. You always start off quick, right? Everything starts off fast. It's how you settle into the game which is more important. And that's where our issue has been this season. You can't keep the intensity up that you start a game with for 90 minutes, even under Bielsa. We didn't do that. There's times where we'd slow the ball down and play the ball out from the back. We didn't always go forward quick. If the opposition wanted to do that, we'd go toe-to-toe with them, and then we'd usually come out on top. But the intensity of a game has to be balanced. It has to be measured. And you can be intense in a game. You can control a game defensively, out of the ball, out of possession. That's a huge part of the game. It's all right having the ball and being dominant in the ball and going forward quick. But what about at times where you just need to slow it down? You don't need to go forward quickly. There's no need for it. If the opposition are allowing you to be slow, at times, rest, recover, keep the ball. And then when your players have rested and recovered and you see a gap and you see a space and you see a certain movement, then exploit it quickly and direct. That's game control for me. And we did that excellently yesterday. In periods where they had the ball, and it wasn't a lot, maybe 15 minutes in the whole game, but they had controlled possession, for the most part, we looked very solid. Our shape was excellent. That's good for me. That's not taking your foot off the gas necessarily. That's maintaining a standard that is feasible for the rest of the game. And then when you feel you can go forward, then you press the intensity button. And we did that at times, hence why we scored 3 goals. We're such a weird team because we score. It's so easy for it to score 3 goals, and we saw that. We've seen how many times we've scored 3 goals this season. Loads. It's so easy for us to score 3 goals. But yet so difficult for us to score more than 3. You know what I mean? We don't do that often, but we can. And it's not like we don't have the intensity to do that, because we create so many chances. We could have scored 6 or 7 yesterday without going into 5th gear, right? We're a 3-0 side, and that's fine by me. But yeah, that's a little talk about the intensity of the game. It's about controlling the intensity. You can be in fully control of the game without the ball, and we were for me yesterday. They showed next to little threat, hence why Ilya Messi had nothing to do for the most part of it. And the defenders in front of him, when they did have to block, blocked. Perfect. Anyway, fullbacks. Junior Firpo, again, Junior Firpo was Junior Firpo in the sense that, he did get beat once or twice by Boyer on that right side. He just struggled when the defenders run in, when the wingers run at him with pace and space. He struggles. I think he's decent in tight compartments. When he's already near him, he's quite decent there at time in his tackle. It's when they've got a bit of pace, he struggles. He's not quick running backwards. But going forwards again, his natural freedom and progression as a player, where he just likes to run forward and create kind of a free role for himself at times. I think Farke's give him the license to do that because of his ability in this league, because his brain, because he will understand and pick the gaps out from where he needs to be. And I think that works for us, especially in games where you're fully in control. And again, the opposition out of possession is perfect. You can allow that at times because you dominate the ball so much. So Junior Firpo again, beat once or twice, but did kind of settle after that and was fine for a lot of the second half. Did have much to do. The guy was up front 2 or 3 times. Just let him do what he wants. And then you had Archie Gray. And again, big part of the goal as well was Junior Firpo taking 2 or 3 guys on. That's what he can do. Like, I know everyone criticises everything about a player, but you have to understand the level of players. Not great defensively, obviously. He wouldn't be here if he was. Just going forward, he is effective. If you keep him fit, it's absolutely fine for us. The problem is that fitness. That's the reliability. He's hardly playing in the team because of that reason. Right? You can have the players who can cover him. That's fine. But it's that fitness side of it that's the big issue why Leeds need to invest in that position. Right back, Archgray was solid again. I think he get beat once, potentially. But look, solid in possession. Almost had an assist. His balance is brilliant. He knows when to. He's now getting more confident in going forward. Everyone's so quick to say Archgray doesn't get forward a lot. That's true, but you've got to understand this guy is a 17-year-old guy who's learning the game, each day, each training session. Having meetings with the manager, with the coaching staff, the analysts, the players, the experienced players, teaching him every day. First, he needs to understand the core principles of a right back, which he's doing and learning. Okay? Adapt the way he plays in the centre to play out the right in possession, which he's doing. Now he just needs to learn to be a bit more progressive at times, which he's doing slowly. You see him more and more week and week. He's getting forward. He's making those runs. He doesn't always get found, but he's doing it. He's becoming brave on the ball in final third, and that's what we need. And that's progression, this guy. I've seen people saying he's not going to progress learning at right back. That's a load of rubbish. This guy's 17-year-old. His brain takes everything in. Everything. He's learning so much. So much. Every week. If he wasn't learning, he wouldn't be playing. He wouldn't be improving every week. I'm seeing different improvements. Niches. Little types of improvements that I really enjoy. And there's a conversation of whether he's a right back or a centre mid, and we're playing a centre mid and right back. At the age of 17, so many footballers were once played one position and played something else. So many. Ampadu is a great example of that. Ampadu played more of his career as centre back. Now he's a CDM and he's unbelievable there, and can also play centre back effectively. You know, Sam Byron was at the other side. You know, Jorginho Rutter, he's a striker. He's better in the 10. You could go through so many teams and so many players where players played somewhere at 17. Sergio Ramos is a perfect example when he came through as a right back and became a world-class centre-back for 10, 15 years. Players, good top players can play in any position in a system that is the same role in terms of on possession, out possession. The only difference in right back for him is obviously his positional awareness on the pitch and that kind of 1v1 versus a quick, tricky winger as opposed to a centre midfielder. And those are the slight adaptations he'll have to make. And he's doing that. And he's showing now that he's more of a player than a centre mid, because if he wants to make it to the very top, he'll have to show balance in terms of he can play in different positions. Because players these days are so versatile. Systems and shapes are so fluid. You saw it yesterday with Gruev, who spent a lot of the time in that left back position as Junior Firpo went higher. You know, you've seen Chris Somerville playing the 10, you Dan James adapting to the 10. It's so important in today's systems that you can adapt in different areas. He's 17. He will learn so much every day just being with these players and being with this manager. So I'm not buying that. He was really good again yesterday. 7. I'm rambling here. I apologise. I'll quickly talk about the centre backs. I want to get on to the front four. But Ampadu, yeah, look, not his best position. I think he's an unbelievable CDM in the right systems. Captain yesterday and led with example at centre back. Him and Joe Rodon obviously have that camaraderie. Have been playing Wales together. You know, been mates for a while. I'm presuming very close. That helped. You could tell there was so much trust without kind of seeing it. You could just feel it. You know what I mean? Watching it, there was so much trust. They always seemed calm with each other. They always dealt with the spaces that they tried to exploit, whether it was in the air, the edge of the box with blocks, playing out from the back, positional space, playing off different lines again when we're all in possession, playing in different lines, which is important. Maintaining who they marked, who recovered. It worked perfectly for me. I thought they were brilliant. I give him a 7.5 because I just think Joe Rodon is an unbelievable centre half, showing every quality for me to play at the top level. I think his Spurs move came a little early. I think he took a step too high, too quick. They needed that intermediate step from Swansea to maybe a lower end Premier League team to start off with. But now he's proving that this level's too easy for him, for the most part. I saw a stat the other day that he's not been dribbled past 1v1 this season. Like, yeah, them two were brilliant yesterday. Both Rodon and Ampadu. And Rodon, for me, is, if we don't go up, guys, we're not keeping him. I know we want to. We're not if we don't go up, in my opinion. Spurs could get if he continues this form and the centre-back market and prices these days, Spurs could get 20 to 30 million for him next season. No chance we keep him if we don't go up. Yeah, I really enjoyed this yesterday. Ampadu adjusted well in that role. He did really well on the ball. He progressed the ball well. He was good defensively. Not much of a threat up against him, but solid, unbelievable from both of them. Very happy with their performance. The centre mids, we'll talk about Groove in a sec. Mara's so underrated. Genuinely believe this. I think he's so underrated. He has 1 or 2 games where it's a little shy in terms of how he impacts the game offensively. But I think as a defensive unit, he's always solid. You saw again for the goal yesterday. It was his tackle, his aggressiveness, his interception that won us that ball to get us forward for Cree. He does that game in, game out. He's so consistent in that sense. Yeah, Kamara, again, was a solid Kamara performance. And the balance, again, it's that word I saw with Gruev and Kamara in the midfield, kind of allowed the front four to be more fluid. And Kamara wasn't necessarily in that wide area as much from my eye and my viewing, in terms of progressing the ball. Maybe a bit deeper, but not so far, so forward, because you have Rutter in there, Jorginho, who is that guy in there now, right? And you have Cree who comes in with the height of third post. You have Cree who can sit in there as well. Fluidity is really coming along. Kamara's and Gruev's relationship yesterday was unbelievably good. I thought they communicated well. You tell, and Kamara covered ground really well, and he kind of moved around a lot more than Gruev in the terms of, Kamara's really good at being press resistant, and finding angles out of difficult situations. He does it all the time. But when he passes the ball, he moves quick and he finds the space. He checks the shoulder really well. Really good technical players. Kamara is really underrated in this league, genuinely. And Gruev. Let's talk about Elliot Gruev. Been through a tough time in terms of not getting a lot of minutes. Last time he did play against Stoke, wasn't great. Didn't grab the game by the scruff of the neck, didn't dominate in that midfield position. But what we saw yesterday was that. I genuinely believe he was unbelievable. I know people are probably saying 8 as a low score. It's tough for me because there was one moment, and it was a big one, where he did lose the ball in a dangerous position, and maybe another day you can see that and then might shrink. So for that moment, I did take a 0.5 off. But because you have to be really disciplined in those moments, right? But for 99% of the game, it was unbelievable. I'm talking about on the ball, the way in which he can just find a simple pass, but also he's always looking, he's always checking that crossfield ball, which I've been screaming for. Right, we did it under Bielsa so successfully. Gets that ball in that left back position, or kind of that left centre back kind of wide position when Junior goes forward, and quickly his first search is, can I play that ball right across the pitch to the right winger? That early one to Dan James, and he did it 2 or 3 times yesterday. They're all perfect. Suddenly that takes the entire midfield out of the pitch, and then you're 1v1 on their fullbacks, and you've got so much space to attack. That long diagonal ball is so important in any system. Any team does it, and it's so important to have that in your locker to do. And the way, the technique in which he strikes the ball perfectly out wide was brilliant. But his movement was good, his tackling was decent as well, his aggression was good, and his tracking was actually very good. There's one moment in the game where, it's like, do you know them toys where you wind it up and it like runs in a straight line? He does that. He's not the quickest. He's not agile. But if he runs in a straight line, he kind of runs. He's not stopping him. He can't turn in a straight line, but just in one straight line, he goes. It's brilliant. It's like them wind-up things that he's pressing. Goes, yeah, yeah, and he did it, and he covered about 40 yards of the pitch, won the ball back off their winger. I think it was Grant. I can't remember. And then we maintained the ball from it. That's what I want my centre mid to do. It's definitely a question now, given the centre backs and the centre mids, about who you drop in for the next game. Because he's put out a performance there, which is a warrant to start. Because that's the starter's performance. He doesn't look like a player that's played 2 games this season. He looks like a player that's played every game and been outstanding for us. And look, when we bought him, he had to be that guy. I said, be patient with this guy. He's a good player. He played consistently in the Bundesliga, people. In that role that he did yesterday, where he just maintains the ball and progresses the ball and just controls that midfield space. I'm now seeing it. There's question marks for Farke. Tough ones. I mean, when I say question marks, I mean in terms of who does he start? What does he do? I'm glad he's in that position because that's a tough one. You can't drop Kamara because he's a different profile to Ampadu and Griff. Kamara's been excellent. You can't drop Ampadu. He's the club captain. He's been the most consistent player this season, but he was very good at centre back. So can you drop Pascal Struijk, the actual club captain, who's been excellent at centre back? I don't know if he can. I was saying on the group chat, can we play with 12 players? A power play, can that be a thing? But yeah, tough decisions. That have been a football manager. Yeah, well done, Grave. Very impressed. Very impressed. Now, go back, Cree. I'm seeing people say, and I agree to an extent. I'm not saying I don't. When I say I've seen people say, I'm not saying I disagree with it. I'm trying to remember points in my head to talk about. People saying about how he was poor for his standards. They weren't saying he was poor. They were saying he's poor for his standards. And you could say in the end product aspect, yeah, right. Chris Somerville, there was 2 or 3 times where he's 1-on-1 where he's kicked it straight at the keeper, or 2 times where it's been a really heavy touch. Actually, when I watched the game back, his movement and the way in which he kind of dictated that wide area to always maintain space around him was really impressive yesterday. And he struggled recently because he's had 2 or 3 guys around him. He's not found those pockets, but he did that really effectively yesterday. And that is something I saw from watching the game back that really impressed me. As from a coaching perspective, that's what you want to see when a player's not getting the ball. Can they adapt their game to be more effective? And he did that yesterday. And he was still good on the ball. Like, still in the final third, he was still excellent on the ball. It's just them final moments in the box where it weren't quite crisp. But he was still good on the ball. And he's massively involved in all the goals. So I had to give him a 7. Look, he takes one of them finishes, 2 of them finishes, gets goal and assist. You're talking 8, 8.5. But because of them little nuances that didn't quite finish the moves off for us, I'm going to give him a 7. But general play was excellent, like usual for Chris Somerville. And he's actually showing so much maturity this season. I think there was a problem last year was his consistency as a performer, again in the Premier League. But it showed when he does play, and he's confident, he's outstanding against Liverpool. I think he's got 5 and 5 in that Premier League season. There's a bit of tactical adaptation that need to happen up here, I think. And it's the same for most young players that have come through the academy. This is the problem. This is the thing you have to overcome, adapting, playing youth level to senior football. And he's done that now. And that barrier's gone, and he looks so mature on the pitch. He looks calm, ready to do what the job needs to be done. Comes off the pitch, speaks well, says what needs to happen, does what needs to happen. What a player. What an unbelievable player. So mature. He's going right to the top. Hopefully with us, but he's going right to the top. Really is. Dan James is Dan James. And do you know what? And that's a compliment, by the way. Because Dan James, I love Dan James. Genuinely, right? He's slowly becoming one of my favourite players. I love him. He epitomises what we need in this team right now. He epitomises it. He's got that aggression. That defensive work is unbelievable. Discipline's a lot better than it used to be. So all that off-the-ball stuff is excellent. He really covers that right side really well. But on the ball, and I'm slowly seeing it, you know, the kind of Dan Jamesy things he does that I love about him. There's his quirks. That's what makes him the player he is. But there's less of them now. I'm seeing less of them. He's becoming more effective on the ball. That's dangerous. And that's shown in his stats this season. He's becoming more effective. He's having more of the ball in the game. He's not wasting it. You know, some passes recently, well, in the past were a bit wild. He tries silly shots and stuff. He still does that at times. Because that's the player he is. I don't want him to lose that. Keep a little bit of that. Because that's who he is and I love it. But he's becoming more effective. He's becoming an effective player. He really is. And that's down to him and his mentality and also the manager for finding that player. Because a player with that raw pace, who can finish and has a decent cross on him, if you can really refine that player, you have an asset. No matter what league you're in, you have an asset. Whether that's starting 11 star player or on the bench as a squad player, you have an asset. Just because they're raw qualities of speed, power, precision. And he's becoming very consistent now. The tapping, but he's made that instinct to be in that position. And he's also effective. He crosses, he hit the bar, should have had an assist. It was very good yesterday, Dan James, as usual. The front two, the final two, had it be a quick talk about these two. Yeah, Patrick Bamford he changes this team. I've said it. No, I've always been worried about his motivation because of the age he is, and he's starting to do other things off the pitch, which is great. He's thinking about his future career, but a lot of players do that when they're kind of in the last few years of the career. So I was worried about when he comes in, week out, and it's not quite working, his body doesn't feel the same as it used to, he's not quite as quick. Mentally, do you really love the game like you used to? And it's the same for many players. I'm not just talking about Patrick. This is older players at a complete different level. Let me just go there. But I feel that sometimes when I play it. But then when I didn't play, I want to play now. I miss it. You have to get in that mentality of, course, I want to play this is football. I love it. It's great. And you have to ignore everything and just focus on your game. And he's doing that now, by the looks of it. He's doing that. He's scoring goals. He's got 3 and 3 with an absolutely world-class volley the other day, by the way. Oh, my God. One of the best goals I've ever seen in a Leeds shirt. Yeah. And he's so effective in a side. Is he clinical? Well, he scored 3 and 3. So let us talk about his career. He's not a clinical striker. Most are these days. It's quite rare to get a clinical striker. Most are clinical play in the top teams in the world because it's, again, different now. It's different. It's completely different. But he's so effective. His movement is genuinely class. His movement is unbelievable. Always has been. He's always had movement. He's always been a smart player. He knows when to stretch, but also when to stretch. He knows which areas to stretch. Whether he needs to stretch centrally, whether he needs to go out wide and make space centrally. He knows. He's never in someone else's space, rarely. And that's what I like about him. He knows when to come short too. He's such a smart footballer. Look, he missed 2 or 3 chances yesterday, like Cree did, like a few other players did, like Jorginho did. He got that goal, and them little things that fell right in front of him are now falling for him. And in your mind, your psyche, that's confidence, because you're like, when everything felt bad and everything felt like it was never going to work for you before, now it is happening and it is working, and suddenly you're like, oh, I can score. Right, things are going to fall for me. Things are working out. And that's what he'll be feeling right now. And he'll be feeling great, and rightly so, because I really like him as a 9. I really do. I always have liked Patrick Bamford. People are wildly critical of him. And look, let me clarify. I get it. When a player's not performing, coming on, not performing week in, week out, he's not playing games, he's always injured, and he does miss big chances, you're right to be frustrated. But this is where I'm kind of try to use that player perspective in terms of, working in that environment. I understand what they're going through when it's not scoring goals. Nothing feels right. Even when you play well, you don't feel confident. Goals are huge for strikers. That is what they're, especially a striker like Patrick Bamford, who relies on a lot of that. That's what your bread and butter is. Whether that's part of the system, whether you're known to be clinical, getting goals every now and again, at least 1 in 2, 1 in 2.5, 1 in 3, it's huge for a striker. It just changes everything. Your entire outlook on football, your entire outlook on happiness. Getting goals is huge, and I've seen players that have not scored for a while, and it's really affected them. I've also seen players that score week in, week out, and it's just normal to them, and it becomes a thing, a theme, and they keep doing it. I hope he keeps doing it. I hope, and this is it, I hope he stays fit. And it's the same with Junior Firpo. The worry for Patrick, for me, has always been his fitness more than anything else. And a lot of the chances he missed, and a lot of that bad performances came down to the fact that his body clearly wasn't right. You could tell by the way he was running, the way he was moving, he wasn't right. He's looking a lot more like that now. Just hope he stays fit. But in my opinion, I still think we need a striker simply because, one, obviously Patrick is getting a little older now, and we need to solidify the future. Also, the injury record, he could be injured, but we don't know, right? I hope he doesn't touch wood. But we need to get a striker for that reason for me. I know Mateo's a young lad and he's got an unbelievable future ahead of him, but we need someone who is more ready right now for when. No, I'm not going to say for when, that's horrible. For if Patrick Bamford does receive another injury, which, touch wood again, he doesn't. That's the issue with me, Patrick Bamford. When he's got top players around him who can chip in and help create and get the goals, and you're not so reliant on him, there's so much less pressure on him. It just allows him to enjoy his football, and that's the case. And that's what's happening right now. And that's what I love to see. That's what you need in a team. You need a team to help you out. Jorginho Roa, quickly, because I realise this video is going long. Jorginho Roa is an enigma. He does what he wants. He does. I love him to bits. I grew up on Ronaldinho, people. That was my idol. Obviously Messi a few years later. But as a young kid, watching football, watching Ronaldinho, I think it was on ITV when they used to be on Champions League. Watching Ronaldinho just come on and just do what he wants and enjoy it and love football. That's Jorginho for me in this lead side. I've not seen a player like him. Obviously, Rafinha was that guy in the Prem. I didn't think we'd get anyone like that. But in terms of enjoyment, Jorginho makes me happy. Makes me love watching football. It makes me love watching Leeds because it's just so fun. Frustrating from a coaching perspective, yes. let these creative players enjoy themselves and have a laugh and have a fun time. As long as they've been productive, and he got a goal, he should have had an assist yesterday. Like I said this in our chat to Andrea, if he became a clinical, if he started scoring goals and he could shoot properly, he'd be at Madrid or Barcelona. I love him to bits. Never change, Georgie. Never change. Always be you. Glad he's confident and back. Since we bought him, I've been waiting for that player. He's here. He's not consistent at times. Look, he's frustrating at times. He'll do things you never expect, but I love that about him. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Very happy. Back it up now. How many times have we said this season? We have to keep backing that up. It's so simple. It's as simple as that. Back it up. 3 more points. Then 3 more after that. Then 3 more after that. Then 3 more after that. Don't stop. Be aggressive. Sign the players we need. Let's do this.